Welcome to the We Can Talk About It podcast.
Yes.
Okay,
Let's get this right.
we gotta get the title.
Okay, ready? After this.
Welcome to the We Can Talk About This podcast.
Welcome.
We are
Glad you're
so
here.
excited.
Yes.
And this is just our bonus episode, our
The teaser, the trailer,
the first fruits.
the get ready for it, the get excited about it thing.
And our goal is to keep it short, but to tell you who we are,
Mhm.
why we're doing this, and what we're doing. Only we'll
Yeah.
probably switch that.
Yeah.
Who we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing this.
Who, what, and why. I like that.
Yes.
Good 3-point outline.
Yes, so do you want to introduce yourself or do you want me
Yes.
to introduce you?
Why don't you introduce me?
Okay,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
right here, this fine specimen of a human being,
Agreed.
is Jonathan Threlfall. Happens to be my husband.
Mhm.
And let's see, Jonathan, you are a pastor.
Yeah.
And we live in New Hampshire.
Mhm.
We have 4 children.
Mhm.
You graduated with a PhD in apologetics.
Mhm.
And
5 years ago.
Five
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. It's 5 years old.
Wrote a very good, thick dissertation.
Incredible. You've got to read
on
it. Got to
one
check
of
it
your
out.
favorite human beings, Pascal.
Yep. Yeah.
And any fun fact we should know about you?
Man, fun fact. I think the funnest fact is that I'm married to you.
Oh, sweet.
All right,
Very
enough
sweet.
about me. Now about you. Okay, this is Christa Threlfall. She's my wife,
Yay.
mother of 4 incredible children, is very involved in our church, leads ladies' Bible studies. She is a writer. She blogs. She wrote a book called Come to Jesus. Um, she is a great cook.
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna
same wavelength,
absolutely. And she is a foodie. I would say you're a foodie. We
I do.
both appreciate fine food. Actually, you're far ahead of me on that though, because I would say my taste buds are rather not refined when it came to the marriage. I mean, I thought that cheese in plastic wrappers was real cheese. And
Cheese whiz.
Cheese whiz. I thought cheese whiz was real cheese.
Yeah.
It's not real cheese. No, it's not.
That's okay.
But
It can still be
it
enjoyed.
can only get better after that. Yeah, and it has gotten much better. So, behold, Christa.
Yes.
Yes.
And we are glad that you're here.
Yes.
So what are we doing? What are we doing here?
So we are launching a podcast called the We Can Talk About This podcast.
Mhm.
And we want to tell you some of the kind of episodes that we hope to do over the next year. Hopefully.
Yeah, year. That's what we're
That's our
that's what
goal.
we're committing
Mhm.
to. One episode a week,
Yeah.
and we are married, a married couple, but we're
Let's
not
say that.
only. Yes,
Yeah.
I covered that.
Yeah.
We're not only talking about marriage. We have kind of 5-ish.
Is that kind of bound up in the fact that I called you my wife? Yes, okay,
Good
great.
job, good job.
Okay, yeah.
So we have 5 topics that we're going to talk about.
Mhm.
Would you
Yeah.
like me to
Okay.
take the first one?
Yeah, why don't you take the first category of episodes?
Okay, the first is, as you might have guessed, personal. So family, marriage, parenting, not from a standpoint of here's everything we've done perfectly and you do it too, but just things we've learned. So
Yeah.
like looking back over 15 years of marriage, or we thought it might even be fun to do ask our kids for input of from parenting, like maybe mistakes that we've made, things that we've learned from, things we've learned from other families
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So personal.
Yeah, so we hope to do some episodes along those lines. We've been married for 15 years. We've had almost that amount of time practice parenting. We've had um, input from a lot of families. So yeah, so hopefully we can share some of those things with you as people who are very much in the trenches with our parenting. Okay, second category is theology and the Bible. Both Krista and I love theology. We love the Bible. We read and study the Bible. We try to make that our daily practice. So we want to talk about some things we're learning in theology and some of the disciplines that we have sought to habituate for ourselves in studying the Bible. So we're going to talk about some of those topics related to theology and the Bible.
Habituate.
Habituate. I just pulled
Habituate.
that out of my hat right there. I think it's in the dictionary. You could check it out. Yeah.
Habituate.
Is that
That's
a
four.
that's
That's
four
four.
book?
Yeah. So some of the things we thought with that is, as you already mentioned, kind of how we study the Bible.
Yep.
Because we're very different people, but we both study the Bible. So like what does it look like for different people to approach Bible study? And then things like we both really love the book of Ecclesiastes.
Mhm.
Some people find that book confusing. So we thought it would be super fun for us, at least, hopefully for you, to talk about why we love
Yeah. Yep.
Ecclesiastes. Okay, so
Yeah.
personal
Theology of the
theology,
Bible.
and then the third has to do
Is it
with
my
that
turn here?
4-syllable word you just pulled
Habituate.
out.
Good habits.
Yes.
Is it my turn or your turn to talk about it? I think it's your turn. Yeah, yeah.
I guess so.
Okay.
Yes. Well, just different habits that we have,
Yeah.
whether it's mental habits, trying to stretch ourselves, physically, spiritually, relationally, what it looks like for us to get ready for church,
Yep.
like just prepare for Sunday, not only physically but spiritually.
Hmm.
Habits that we try to develop even during times when we're discouraged.
Hmm.
And then the fourth,
Yeah. Current trends. So a lot of things that come across our news feed, social media feed that we think it's pretty important to talk about and to see um, what's the right way to think about this? Or from a biblical perspective, how should we even process that? Some things that just came to mind are we've been doing a little bit of thinking about artificial intelligence. Both Krista and I are always reading something. I'm trying to read things, both old books, classic books, but also books that discuss current events. And so we'll be having some episodes devoted to current events on this podcast.
and related to the reading
Hmm.
too, we both this year read books talking about people who are sort of
Hmm.
disentangling their faith.
Yep.
And so even we thought that might be an interesting
Yeah.
episode. We both,
Deconversion,
yeah,
disentangling, ex-evangelical, some of those buzzwords that are out
yeah.
there that would be helpful for us to talk through on this podcast as well.
And the fifth category is just anything that we want to talk about, which is we called it intriguing or
Slash
practical.
practical. Is that a
Yeah,
backslash or a forward slash? It's a forward slash. But basically, it's a grab bag. It's anything,
it is.
things that we are intrigued by. One of them would be, and this came to our minds because both of us, Krista and I, are involved in church ministry. We deal with people a lot. We deal with grieving people. I've had the privilege to be at people's deathbed, very close to the time of dying, be with people that are grieving. So we thought one episode would be what not to say to people who are grieving, or not just grieving necessarily from bereavement, but hurting, suffering in some way.
Things we've learned from eavesdropping.
Mhm.
That has come from our time sitting at Panera Bread.
Be careful when you see us near you. We
Yeah.
may be eavesdropping.
If we're like coming closer,
Yeah.
be worried.
Yeah.
No, not that we like sit there to listen to people, but
Not on
sometimes
purpose.
people just talk loudly, even if
Right.
you have your earbuds in and you're trying to listen to.
I've never tried to eavesdrop intentionally. It's always been unintentional.
Well, I maybe have.
Yeah, yeah. Me too.
Well, only if you start hearing an interesting conversation,
You
you're like,
can't stop.
what
You
are
just have to keep
wait,
listening.
what are they?
What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why I handle the finances?
Which we still haven't talked about why you handle
No,
the
we haven't
finances.
talked
But
about
we will talk about it because we
we
can
can
talk about it.
Oh,
You see what I did there?
so good.
See, it's such a
So
great episode. It's
good.
such a
It
great
is.
podcast title.
We did not cover who came up with the name.
Okay, that was me.
I
That
know.
was me. I'm very proud of myself about that.
I'm proud of you too.
Yeah.
It's a good name. I like
Yeah,
it.
and we could talk about that too for a long time.
Okay, so those are our 5 categories, and I know we're kind of running through these
Yeah.
quickly, but that's our point because it's just a teaser.
This is to make you want more.
Hopefully, salivate.
Yeah.
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 So that's the what, and now why.
Yeah. So why we are doing this podcast, um, what are our goals for it? I hope to bring some clarity to these topics. For example, the current events topics, some of these things because they're new on the scene, people are just figuring out how to think about them. Hopefully, by thinking carefully through them and talking honestly about them, we can bring clarity to these confusing or even contested topics, things that people may be afraid to talk about because, my goodness, if you stick your neck out, you're going to get criticized or slammed. We think it's important, no matter the cost, to bring clarity to these topics. Um, yeah. And I think it's fun for you and me to talk together. I enjoy talking with you, and I'm excited about the adventure. That's one thing that excites me.
Yeah. This is also the only time we talk. It's
Yeah.
only in front of a camera.
We didn't
It's
start
only for
talking
show.
until this moment.
Yeah. So it'll be good to talk again after 15 years. No, some of my goals. You were gonna ask that. Were you gonna ask that?
What are some of your
Yeah.
goals,
Yeah,
Krista,
thank
for this podcast?
well, my prayer with this, I have 2 main prayer requests, and the first is that God would use this podcast, little though it may be, to build the kingdom.
Yes.
Because there is always more need for light in
Yeah.
this world.
Yeah.
And no matter how how few people the light reaches, how small it is. There's always more of a need for that.
Yes.
And so we want to use this podcast to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And my prayer is that it would build our marriage.
Yeah.
So obviously, this is not the only time we talk.
Nope.
We talk a lot.
We talk a lot.
We
Yeah.
love to talk
Yeah.
to each other. But we want to do that as a husband and wife because I think that can be instructive and helpful as well, that to see a husband and wife talking through some of
Yeah.
these issues.
And I think part of it is that these conversations are, for the most part, going to be unrehearsed.
Yeah.
And so we may find ourselves working through the issue together in real time and inviting you to observe and participate by observing. And I think just showing that husband and wife can talk about things and not necessarily a threat to the relationship.
Yeah.
It's helpful. It's good. It's healthy.
Yes.
To talk through important things.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it can be easy to approach difficult topics or things that you even disagree with each other on and be like, okay, those are off the table.
Yeah.
We just don't talk about those.
Yeah. But
we can.
Yes, we
talk
can.
about them.
We can.
So anyway, that's who we are, what we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it, and we're glad you're here.
Yes.
And we can't wait to get started. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for being with us.